Imagine lying awake in the darkness. 100 unanswered thoughts are racing your heart, pounding tears you've held back all day, and no one knows. But tonight, something different is waiting, a rest that goes deeper than a lullaby, a rest that heals worn-out souls. In the next minute, you'll receive a whispered prayer so gentle it meets your insomnia and ushers in peace. You've done it again. Put on that brave face, answered work emails, smiled through dinner conversation. You've been fine even as your chest tightened with silent tension all day long. Maybe you even caught yourself in the mirror, wondering how you managed to stay composed when everything inside felt like unraveling threads. But now, there's only darkness. And in the quiet, your heart refuses to stay quiet. If you're here reading these words, I want you to know something. Your weariness is not a weakness. Your exhaustion is not a flaw. You are not broken. You are human, real, raw, beautiful in your vulnerability. Feel that subtle tremble, like the world's weight is trying to crush your ribs from the inside. It's real, it's heavy, and you've carried it alone for too long. Tonight, I'm not asking you to push it away. Not yet. I want you to feel it fully, because here's what matters in that feeling. God is already there with you. He's not shocked by your tears. He's not disturbed by your trembling. He's actually leaning in closer than breath, closer than sleep absorbing your pain, like a gentle wave retreats into the shore. Let that sink in. You don't have to hide your pain from him. He already knows it all. And tonight, you're invited to stop pretending. Just for a moment. To stop pretending the past wasn't heavy, the heart wasn't aching. The darkness didn't tremble every time you blinked. You don't have to be okay tonight. You just have to be here. There is scientific weight behind what you feel tonight. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports that more than 1/3 of U.S. adults experience insufficient sleep, chronic sleeplessness linked directly to anxiety, stress, and emotional overwhelm. CDC 2023. Harvard researchers confirm that sleep deprivation increases emotional vulnerability, making even small worries feel like avalanches. But here's the truth. Rest isn't just a nice idea. It's essential for healing. Even the Bible recognizes this. He gives his beloved sleep. Psalm 127:2. That's not a metaphor. He gives it to his beloved. You are beloved. Tonight rest isn't a luxury. You deserve it. You need it. And it's not beside him. It is him meeting you where you are. So here's the gentle invitation. Close your eyes, but don't push them shut in fear. Close them in trust. Rest your hand on your chest. Feel the steady pace of your heartbeat. Take a long, soft inhale. Hold it. Then release, as if you're surrendering more than just air. Whisper, Jesus, hold me tonight. No elaborate prayer, no polished words. Just the simplest cry of a weary heart. He hears that. He meets that. God's arms are wide open. You don't need to earn rest. You just need to receive it. If you're still here, the next 2 minutes will teach your soul what it means to let go so fully you may fall asleep before the next minute is up. But before you drift away, what if your emptiest nights, the ones you dread most, are actually where God speaks the clearest? Would you stay just a little longer to find out? Your body is begging to rest, but your mind won't stop screaming. What if you could slow the chaos in your thoughts without trying harder, but by surrendering deeper? The next few moments might be your gateway into the peace that has eluded you for weeks. If you've tried everything else, maybe this whisper from heaven is what your soul has been needing. It's 2:13 a.m. You've turned over at least a dozen times. Your eyes are dry but not heavy. The room is silent, but inside your head it's anything but quiet. Thoughts are ricocheting. What if I forgot something important? Did I say the wrong thing earlier? Why does tomorrow already feel like too much? You've done the D. You've done the white noise. You've scrolled. You've prayed. And yet, peace is nowhere to be found. Your body is aching for sleep, but your mind, it's like a war zone with no exit. And worst of all, you're exhausted by how tired you are. But if that's you, tonight know this, you're not the only one awake. God doesn't sleep either, not because he's restless, but because he's watching over you. He who watches over you will neither slumber nor sleep. Psalm 121:4. That's not poetry. That's a promise. While your mind loops in circles, he's quietly rearranging your night. Science backs this up. The Harvard Medical School reports that overthinking is one of the leading causes of sleep disruption, especially in people with high-functioning anxiety. In fact, their study revealed that those who identify as mentally active but emotionally exhausted are 35% more likely to suffer from chronic insomnia. But here's something powerful. The human brain, when introduced to rhythmic, repetitive speech patterns, especially spiritual or meditative ones, can shift into a slower alpha state, a condition linked to relaxation and deep restorative rest. You're not broken. Your mind is not your enemy. It's just been trying to protect you for too long. But tonight it's time to let God protect you. Right now, I want you to do something radical. Not something active, but something holy. Let go. Let go of trying to quiet your thoughts. Let go of trying to feel better. Let go of solving everything before dawn. Instead, allow this to happen. Picture your thoughts like a swirling river. Now imagine stepping out of that river. Let the thoughts flow, but you don't have to chase any of them. You are not your thoughts. You are not your to-do list. You are not your worries. You are a soul eternally seen by God. And tonight your job isn't to fix the noise. It's to trust the one who already knows how to calm it. Try whispering this with me. God, I release my mind into your hands tonight. Hold me until the morning. You don't need to believe it perfectly. You just need to breathe it sincerely. And that is enough if you're still here. The next few minutes might feel like a lullaby for your nervous system. Stay a little longer. What your heart has been craving might finally find its way in. And before you drift deeper into this peace, what if the very thoughts that have tormented you for weeks are the doorway God is using to lead you to something deeper? The anxiety is not the end. It might just be the beginning of a surrender you've never tasted before. Are you ready to step through it? If your mind feels like a war zone tonight, you're not imagining it. But there's good news. You were never meant to fight alone. God has a way of guarding what you can't control. In the next moment, you'll be invited into a kind of surrender that doesn't require effort, only trust. If peace feels impossible tonight, stay. You're about to meet the one who never sleeps. Tonight may not feel like a battle on the outside. You're not in danger. No alarms are going off. But inside your mind is anything but calm. It feels like thoughts are clashing, colliding, like every what if and I should have and why did that happen are fighting for your attention. It's not a single voice, it's 100, and they don't let you breathe. You replay the conversation you regret. You rehearse the fear you try to hide. You scan the future like it's a battlefield, anticipating the next loss. But here's something you've probably never been told. You are not failing. You are not too sensitive. You're not weak for feeling like this. You're just in a battle you were never designed to fight alone. God never asked you to be your own protector. He never demanded you hold the front lines of your mind all night. He says, "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are stayed on you, because they trust in you." Isaiah 26:3. And perfect peace doesn't mean the war outside disappears. It means you stop trying to win it by yourself. Clinical psychologists at the University of California, San Diego, found that persistent anxious thought cycles mimic the body's fight or flight response even without external danger. This means your brain can be in emergency mode long after the threat has passed. Here's the stunning truth: you can't logic your way out of a stress response, but you can rewire your nervous system by shifting where you place your focus. Scripture aligns with this. Isaiah 26:3 doesn't say, "Try harder to be calm." It says, "Keep your mind on Him." Why? Because what you focus on forms what you feel. And when your focus shifts from internal fear to external faith, the brain begins to disarm its panic. Your body follows your attention. So tonight isn't about getting every thought right. It's about aiming them at the one who's already won the war. I want you to try something gentle. Don't force it. Just follow it like a slow river. Close your eyes if you haven't already. Let your jaw unclench. Let your shoulders drop just an inch lower. Now picture a watchtower. It's night. There's a soldier standing guard, fully awake, fully alert. He's watching for danger, yes. But more than that, he's watching for you. That's God, standing at the edge of your thoughts, watching, waiting, guarding. You don't have to scan the horizon for every threat. He's already doing that. Your only job: lie down. Let Him watch. Try whispering this: "God, be the guard of my thoughts tonight. I trust you to keep what I cannot. You've done your part. Now let Him do His." If you're still here, maybe your soul recognizes this moment. Stay for just a few more minutes, because the next part might be the first time you've let someone else fight for your peace. And before we move into that next breath, ask yourself this: what would it feel like to finally fall asleep, not from exhaustion, but from safety? What would it mean to release not just your stress, but your role as the one holding it all together? In the next section, you'll find out, what do you do when even your prayers fall silent and you're too tired to believe anyone is listening? You don't have to find the perfect words. God has never needed your eloquence, only your honesty. In the next few moments, you'll hear the truth. Your spirit may have forgotten that silence doesn't mean God is absent, and that broken prayers still reach heaven. You've whispered it before, haven't you? Late at night under your breath, not even a sentence, just a sigh or a name. God. But lately, even that feels hard. You've sat in bed staring at the ceiling thinking, what do I even say anymore? There are no words that feel right. Nothing seems to match the ache. It's not that you don't want to pray. It's just that the weight is so heavy it chokes out every attempt. You feel far disconnected, like you're floating through life while God remains on the shore just watching. But what if I told you something holy happens in this space? What if the silence you hate is actually sacred? What if this isn't distance from God, but a deeper nearness than you've ever known? Because prayer isn't performance, it's presence. And presence doesn't require sound. It requires surrender. Clinical psychologists have confirmed what ancient believers knew all along. Silence is not a sign of failure. It's a path to restoration. A 2019 study by the University of Pennsylvania found that silent reflection activated the brain's posterior cingulate cortex, an area linked to spiritual processing and emotional regulation. In other words, when you feel like you're not praying right, your brain might actually be creating the space your spirit needs most. And biblically, we see this truth echoed. The Spirit Himself intercedes for us with groanings too deep for words. Romans 8:26. You're not empty. You're being carried. When you don't have words, the Spirit still speaks. Not on your behalf, but within you. So here's what I want you to do. Don't force words tonight. Don't search for the perfect verse or the right tone of voice. Don't pretend. Just breathe. Each inhale, I am here. Each exhale, and so is God. Feel the rhythm. You're already praying. You don't need a formula. You need to be seen. And you are. Even in this quiet. Even in this night. Even now. Close your eyes and repeat after me. God, I don't have the right words tonight, but I give you my honesty, my silence, my ache, and I believe that's enough. Let that be your offering. If you've made it this far, maybe it's not because you're searching for a miracle, but because your soul already knows this moment is sacred. Stay. The next minute could remind you what it feels like to be heard without speaking at all. And before this part ends, let me ask you this. What if God was never looking for perfect prayers, but for a real quiet heart willing to show up? In the next section, we'll go deeper into the words God has been speaking over you, even when you couldn't say a thing back. Are you ready to hear what heaven has whispered about you? Some of the heaviest pain in your life has no words. But the miracle is God has heard every buried thought, and He's already responding. In the next few minutes, you'll step into a sacred space where silence becomes sanctuary, and where every unspoken ache finds its answer. You know how to stay quiet. You've mastered the art of not bothering anyone with what hurts. You smile, you nod, you say, I'm fine, but your eyes tell a different story. You've learned to bury the tears in your pillow, to swallow the words that never feel safe enough to say, to sit through conversations that never ask, what do you really need tonight? You've carried burdens with no labels, heartbreak with no audience. And the scariest part, sometimes you start to believe that even God doesn't see what you don't say. But tonight I need you to hear this clearly. Nothing in you is invisible to God. Not the ache, not the exhaustion, not the secret fears you can't even name. He sees it all, and even more, He understands it. There's a verse in Psalm 139 that has changed everything for people who thought they had to explain themselves to be heard. Even before a word is on my tongue, behold, O Lord, you know it altogether. Psalm 139 in the 4. God doesn't just hear what you say, He hears what you don't say. A 2021 study by the American Psychological Association showed that chronic emotional suppression, specifically avoiding verbalizing distress, leads to higher rates of anxiety, panic, and physiological tension. But the same study found something hopeful. Simply acknowledging pain, even silently, begins a measurable healing process in the brain. Your healing doesn't begin when you speak out loud. It begins when you let truth be known within you. And spiritually, that matches what God's been doing since the beginning. He doesn't wait for your words. He moves toward your honesty, even when it comes in the form of silence. So tonight, let's do something sacred. We're not going to talk it out. We're going to sit in it together. Wherever you are, lie back. Place one hand on your heart and one hand over your stomach. Breathe in gently. Exhale slowly. Again. Let your body know it's safe. Now, without saying a word, bring to mind the one thing you haven't told anyone. Not a sentence, just an image, a moment, a weight. Hold it there, and let this truth settle over it. God already knows, and He's already near. That's not a platitude, it's a presence. He's here not to ask you to speak, but to see you completely. Repeat this if you feel safe enough. God, this pain I haven't said aloud. You've already seen, and that's enough for me tonight. Let that be your prayer. If this touched something unspoken in you, stay. The next few minutes might finally put language to what you felt for years, and more importantly, give you permission to stop holding it all inside. And before this part fades into the stillness of the night, ask yourself, what if the silence you thought disqualified you from connection is the very space where God wants to speak the loudest? In the next section, we'll explore how God doesn't just see your hidden pain. He's already moving to carry it with you. Are you willing to let go of just one piece? You're praised for being the strong one, but no one sees the toll it's taken. Tonight, you're not the fixer, the counselor, or the steady hand. Tonight, you get to rest and let God carry you. In the next few minutes, we'll step into a sacred reversal where you stop holding everyone else and finally let yourself be held. You're the one they call when everything falls apart, the dependable one, the problem solver, the voice of calm, and you rarely say no because you care. You show up even when your own tank is empty. You give answers while your own questions echo in the dark. You check in on others and wonder if anyone would notice if you disappeared for a while. You've learned how to smile while carrying weight no one sees. You've perfected the art of being okay for everyone else's sake. But here's the truth you rarely hear. Even the strong need shelter. Being the go-to person doesn't mean you're invincible. And God never asked you to hold what only He can carry. There's a verse in Isaiah that feels like it was written for people like you. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. Isaiah 40:30-31. You are not meant to be everyone's strength forever. You are meant to be renewed. Research from the American Institute of Stress shows that hidden emotional labor, the weight people carry when constantly being there for others, leads to higher cortisol levels, interrupted sleep patterns, and long-term emotional fatigue. But there's more. That same study found that restorative empathy when someone finally receives the care they give can dramatically reset the body's stress baseline. In other words, you don't need more productivity. You need presence. And God is already offering it tonight. Your body isn't breaking. It's just asking you to stop pretending that you don't need to be held to. So here's your invitation tonight, not to help anyone, not to fix anything, just to exhale. Close your eyes. Let the muscles in your face soften. Feel your back sink just a bit deeper into where you lay. No posture, no pressure. Now, say this in your mind slowly: God, I'm tired of being strong. That's all. No more. Just honesty. Now, imagine God answering. I never asked you to carry it all. Picture him lifting what's been sitting on your shoulders, piece by piece. You're not letting anyone down by resting. You are showing your soul where safety lives. Whisper this with me if you can. God, I give you the weight I carry for others, and I receive your rest tonight. And if you don't feel anything yet, that's okay. The healing is still happening. If your body is finally starting to soften, don't stop now. What's coming next might be the very release your heart has waited years for. Stay. There's more rest ahead. Before we close this part, let me ask you, what if the strongest thing you could do tonight was admit how much you need to be held? In the next section, we'll move into what happens when we stop managing pain and start surrendering it. Are you willing to lay down just one burden tonight, even if it's the one that made you feel needed? You thought you'd moved on, but when the lights go out, the past comes rushing back. God doesn't shame you for remembering. He meets you in the memory and brings peace into places you thought would never be safe again. Tonight, you're not alone in your mind. In the next few moments, God is going to gently enter the places you've tried to forget and offer healing where you've only felt fear. Some wounds don't bleed anymore. They don't scream. They whisper, and they whisper loudest at night. When the world goes quiet, your memory doesn't. It replays images, voices, moments you thought you had buried. Maybe it's the tone someone used. Maybe it's a face you haven't seen in years. Or maybe it's just a feeling that comes over you, heavy, hollow, and unexplained. You're not overreacting. You're not broken. You're remembering, but not remembering to suffer. Remembering is sometimes how the body asks to be healed. That's why these flashbacks come when you least expect, because your spirit is still trying to make sense of something it never deserved. And God, He's not avoiding that place. He's already walking into it with mercy, not judgment. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3. And He doesn't just heal visible wounds. He heals the kind of pain no one else knows about. Trauma experts from the National Institute of Mental Health, NIMH, confirm that unprocessed trauma often resurfaces during sleep preparation, especially in the theta brainwave state, the transitional stage between wakefulness and rest. Why? Because this is when the brain feels safe enough to surface what it's been suppressing. But here's the hopeful part. New studies show that gentle emotional acknowledgement paired with rhythmic affirmations or spiritual meditation allows the hippocampus, the brain's healing center, to refile traumatic memories into safe, non-triggering categories. In short, what's resurfacing now doesn't have to break you. It may be here to finally release you. You don't need to brace for the memory. You need to let God enter it with you. Right now, I want you to breathe slowly. Don't rush. Just settle. Let the memory come if it's already here. Don't push it away. Instead, picture this Jesus is sitting beside you. You don't need to say a word. He knows exactly what the memory is. He's not shocked. He's not angry. He's not disappointed. He simply puts his hand on your shoulder and stays. That's healing. Not erasing the past, but not being alone in it anymore. Try whispering this: God, I invite you into this memory. I give you what still hurts. I trust you to make it safe. Let the tears come if they do. Let the stillness settle if it arrives. There's no pressure here, just presence. If you're still here, you've already done something brave. But don't stop now. The next section might be the one that finally lets your soul stop flinching in the dark. Stay. There's healing in the next breath. And as this part quiets, ask yourself this: what if the part of you that hurt the most is the very place God wants to dwell? In the next section, we'll talk about how to stop fearing the next nightfall and instead prepare to rest, knowing that healing has already begun. Can you believe that's possible? Because it is. You can't predict the future, but that doesn't stop your mind from trying and spiraling. Tonight, you don't need to plan, fix, or control what's next. You get to rest because God is already in tomorrow. In the next few minutes, your anxious thoughts will lose their grip, and your soul will meet the peace of a God who's already made a way. You've checked the calendar. You've rehearsed the meetings. You've thought through the conversation 3 times. You've calculated what might go wrong and what might go even worse. It's like your brain is trying to prepare for a storm, but it's one that hasn't even arrived yet. Still, your chest feels tight, your stomach unsettled. Sleep keeps slipping further away. This isn't because you're negative or ungrateful. It's because you care. You care about what happens. You care about people. You care about getting it right. But caring isn't the problem. Carrying what isn't yours to carry is. There's a promise in Scripture that breaks the cycle. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Matthew 6:34. Jesus isn't saying your fears are invalid. He's saying you don't have to face them alone, and you don't have to face them now. A study by the University of Michigan found that over 85% of what people worry about never actually happens. Even more surprising, in the small percentage of worries that do become reality, 79% of participants reported they handled the outcome better than they expected. What does that mean? Your anxiety is not lying, it's just not the whole truth. Your brain isn't trying to hurt you, it's trying to protect you. But protection isn't your job tonight. It belongs to the one who holds time itself. So here's the shift. You've been rehearsing tomorrow in your head. Now I want you to release it. Picture your thoughts like a stack of envelopes. Each envelope has a fear written on it. Don't open them. Don't solve them. Just hand them over one by one. Hand them to God. He knows what's inside, and He's not anxious about any of it. Try whispering this: God, I surrender what I can't control. I place tomorrow into your hands. Breathe in slowly. Hold it. Exhale. Again. Again. Let your breath become a declaration. I am not in charge, and that's okay. You're not falling behind by resting. You're moving forward in the only way that truly heals. If tomorrow feels lighter right now, don't rush away. The next moments will guide you into the kind of surrender that doesn't just comfort you. It changes how you face everything ahead. Stay. The peace is deepening. Before this part ends, ask yourself, what would it mean to finally believe that the same God who's with you now is already in your next conversation, your next meeting, your next decision? In the next section, we'll step into the sacred truth that rest is not avoidance, it's preparation. And tonight your rest might be the most powerful thing you do. You replay the day, the words you shouldn't have said, the things you didn't do, and the guilt feels like a blanket you can't shake off. But guilt is not your identity. Grace isn't just for perfect people, it's for weary ones too, including you. Tonight, shame will lose its power. In the next few minutes, you'll be reminded why God's love never depended on your performance in the first place. It usually starts just as you try to sleep, that sinking feeling in your chest, the one that whispers you messed up. Maybe it was a moment of impatience, a harsh word, a task left undone, or just the weight of feeling like you're not doing enough. You remember what you should have said. You replay what you shouldn't have done. And somewhere between your regrets and your expectations, you start to feel small, and worse, distant. Distant from peace, distant from joy, maybe even distant from God. But listen closely. God never distanced himself from you, not even when you fell short, not even when you chose wrong, not even when you stopped believing you deserved grace. Because grace is never earned, but God demonstrates his love for us in this. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Romans 5:8, still sinners, still stumbling, still learning, and still deeply loved. According to the Cleveland Clinic, guilt-related insomnia is a common psychological pattern often triggered by perfectionism or fear of disappointing others. They found that self-compassion exercises significantly reduce these symptoms. In particular, spoken affirmations of forgiveness, even in a quiet whisper, begin to reset the brain's self-assessment pathways, lowering cortisol and easing emotional tension. This mirrors spiritual truth. You weren't created to carry condemnation. You were created to be free. And freedom begins when you stop rehearsing what went wrong and start receiving what's already been given. Mercy. Let's try this together. Close your eyes. Place a hand over your chest. Feel your heartbeat. It's still beating, which means grace is still available. Now, whisper, God, I give you the guilt I keep replaying. I release what I can't undo. I receive what I don't deserve, your mercy. You don't need to feel worthy to be healed. You don't need to earn rest to be held. God's love isn't a reward. It's a refuge. Stay in this posture. And if your mind tries to bring up your mistakes, don't argue with it. Just return to this phrase. Even here, I'm still loved. If something in your chest just softened, stay with me. The next few minutes will not only comfort the guilt you feel, but begin to dissolve the shame you never needed to carry. Grace is waiting. Before we pause this part, what if God isn't disappointed in you? What if he's been trying to reach you through the very guilt you thought disqualified you? In the next section, we'll talk about the beauty of weakness and how sometimes the cracks in you are where light is meant to pour in. Are you ready to stop hiding and start healing? You've been showing up for life, but inside you feel like you've lost yourself. Even when you forget who you are, God remembers. And He hasn't changed His mind about you. In the next few moments, you'll be reminded of a truth deeper than confusion, stronger than shame, that you are still seen, still loved, still chosen. There's a kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. It's the kind that comes from not knowing where you fit anymore, not knowing if what you do even matters, not knowing who you really are when everything goes quiet. Maybe your role changed. Maybe a relationship ended. Maybe the version of yourself you used to be doesn't exist anymore. And now in the stillness, you're left with a question that aches deeper than any wound. Who am I really you used to know? Used to be confident, used to feel needed. But lately it feels like you're just going through the motions. And that kind of emptiness is terrifying. But I need you to hear this. You are not lost. You are becoming. The uncertainty you feel right now isn't punishment. It's invitation. God hasn't forgotten you. He's restoring you sometimes through the unraveling. For we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus, so we can do the good things He planned for us long ago. Ephesians 2:10. You were never defined by your productivity, or your past, or your ability to get it all right. You're defined by the one who designed you, and He never called you disposable. A study from the American Psychological Association, APA, in 2022 showed that individuals experiencing role identity crisis, often triggered by job loss, life transitions, or burnout, report significantly higher levels of insomnia and anxiety. But they also found something hopeful. When individuals were reminded of their core values and spiritual identity, not performance, they reported measurable reductions in nighttime anxiety and improved sleep quality. Translation: you don't need a title to belong. You need truth. And the deepest truth is this: you are still God's child. Even here, even now. Let's step into that truth together. Right now, I want you to imagine this. You are not in a performance review. You are not being graded. You are not being compared. You are sitting across from Jesus. And He's not asking for your accomplishments. He's asking for your presence. Let that settle. Now breathe deeply, slow and steady. Say this in your heart: God, I've forgotten who I am, but I trust You haven't. Now picture this. He gently places His hand over your heart and says, this is still mine. That is identity. That is belonging. That is peace. You don't need to find yourself tonight. You just need to return to the one who's held you from the beginning. If something in you just exhaled, don't move on too fast. The next moments will go deeper into the voice of God that still calls your name, even in the silence. Stay. There's more to remember. Before we move on, ask yourself, what if the emptiness you felt isn't the end of your story, but the clearing before something new begins? In the next section, we'll step into the idea of being rebuilt from within and what it means to rest, not in what you do, but in who God says you are. Will you let Him speak that over you? You've been told you feel too deeply, or not enough, too quiet, too complicated, too emotional, not put together enough. But the God who made you has never been overwhelmed by your heart or disappointed by your silence. In the next few moments, we'll undo the lies spoken over you and replace them with the truth of who you've always been in His eyes. Have you ever felt like too much and not enough in the same breath? like the way you feel is inconvenient, like your presence is tolerated but your pain is too loud, like you're a lot for some people and yet still not quite what they wanted. You've tried to shrink yourself, tried to take up less space, tried to smile more, cry less, speak softer, be tougher, and still, you feel like you're either overflowing or invisible. But I need you to hear this. You were never too much for the one who made you, and you've never been not enough for his love. God didn't make a mistake when he created your sensitivity. He wasn't improvising when he gave you a tender heart. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Psalm 139:14. Not fearfully and flawed, not fearfully and fixable, fearfully, wonderfully, intentionally. Your softness is not a liability. Your feelings are not failures. And your quietness isn't absence, it's depth. Psychologists at Stanford University published a study on internalized emotional invalidation, the experience of people who are told their feelings are too intense or irrelevant. They found that these individuals experience a 40% higher rate of sleep disruption and increased self-criticism, even in adulthood. But here's what's powerful: reaffirming identity through spiritual or value-based affirmation helped regulate emotional distress more effectively than cognitive reasoning alone. Meaning, you don't heal by convincing yourself you're fine. You heal by being reminded you were never wrong for feeling in the first place. So tonight, let's try something brave. Don't fix yourself. Don't silence your ache. Don't perform. Just be. Wherever you are, close your eyes gently. Let your breath slow down. And picture this. God isn't standing across the room, waiting for you to calm down. He's sitting beside you, close enough to feel the rhythm of your inhale. He knows what makes you cry. He knows what's made you quiet. And he's not asking you to explain. He's just asking you to stay. Whisper this slowly. God, I've believed I'm too much. I feared I'm not enough. But tonight, I let you define me instead. Feel that. That's what truth sounds like. It doesn't shout. It gently replaces shame. If something in your soul is softening, hold on to that. What's coming next will carry you deeper, not into effort or correction, but into a calm you don't have to earn. Stay with me. You're not done resting yet. And before we close this part, let me ask you, what if you didn't have to shapeshift anymore to be worthy of belonging? What if your most unwanted traits are the very things God calls beautiful? In the next section, we'll step into that truth, what it means to let go of labels and finally come home to your real identity. Will you come with me? You've waited, prayed, believed, but the silence hasn't broken, and it feels like maybe God's moved on without you. But what if the silence isn't absence, but strategy? What if God is closer than ever, even now? In the next few moments, we'll step gently into the space between prayers and answers, where hope still breathes, and where heaven is never truly quiet. Waiting hurts in a way nothing else does. It's not loud like grief, not sharp like anger. It's slow, quiet, and it stretches you in ways that don't leave visible marks, but leave deep questions. You've done all the right things. You've whispered prayers no one else has heard. You've kept believing, at least outwardly. But deep down, you've wondered, did God forget me? You see others moving forward. You hear stories of breakthroughs and blessings. And you're still here, still aching, still asking, still waking up in the night with a heart full of hope and hands empty of answers. But here's what you need to know. Being delayed doesn't mean being denied, and being quiet doesn't mean being forgotten. Can a mother forget the baby at her breast? Though she may forget, I will not forget you. Isaiah 49:15. Even when it feels like God is silent, He is never still. He is preparing what you can't yet see, and He is holding you while you wait. Recent findings from the University of Zurich suggest that uncertainty, especially in spiritual or long-term emotional areas, triggers the brain's anterior cingulate cortex, which is linked to both attention and distress. However, when participants were invited to view waiting as purposeful rather than passive, their brains produced higher levels of serotonin, and their stress response lessened significantly. That's not just science, that's scripture. God never wastes a waiting season. It's not a void, it's a vessel, a place where something deeper is being formed in you, even when you can't name it yet. So tonight, don't force answers. Let your heart rest in the unknown. Close your eyes softly. Place your hands palms up beside you, as if to say, God, I receive what you're doing, even if I don't see it yet. Now whisper, God, I feel forgotten, but I choose to believe you remember me. Hold me in this waiting. Let your breath come slow and steady. No striving, just surrender. You don't need to feel faith right now. You just need to stay open. Even this posture, this quiet, honest breath, is worship. It tells heaven, I trust you still. If you're still with me, you're not waiting alone. The next few moments may not change your circumstances, but they will change how your soul carries them. And that may be the shift you've needed most. Stay. Hope is here. Before we enter the next quiet, ask yourself this. What if God isn't late? What if He's just being deliberate with something too sacred to rush? In the next section, we'll step into the truth of restoration and how even what feels wasted can be rewoven with purpose. Will you trust Him to redeem even this? Sometimes the ache isn't just from what happened, but from what didn't, from all the time that seems lost. But God is not limited by years or deadlines. What feels wasted to you is still sacred to Him. In the next few minutes, we'll release the weight of regret and step into a deeper truth that it's never too late for something beautiful to begin again. You don't always say it out loud, but late at night, you wonder if too much time has passed. Maybe it was a relationship, a career, a calling, or just a part of you that you forgot to care for. You look back and think, why didn't I do more when I had the chance? You scroll through memories and feel both longing and loss. And underneath it all, a quiet fear whispers, maybe it's too late now, but I need you to hear this. God doesn't count time like we do. He doesn't see the gaps. He sees the soil. Even what feels buried can still bloom. I will restore to you the years that the locusts have eaten. Joel 2:25. That's not a metaphor. That's a promise, not just survival. Restoration. Neuroscientists from Harvard Medical School found that individuals who perceived their past as irretrievably lost showed increased symptoms of depression and sleep dysfunction. But participants who were encouraged to reinterpret past events through the lens of redemptive narrative, meaning they viewed loss as part of a longer unfolding story, reported significant increases in resilience and well-being. This mirrors Scripture's approach. God doesn't edit your past. He weaves it even the broken parts, especially the broken parts. Nothing is wasted when it's placed in His hands. So tonight, let's loosen our grip on the calendar. Let's release the timeline you've used to measure your worth. Close your eyes. Let your jaw relax. Let your shoulders soften. Feel the clock slow down in your mind. Now whisper, God, I give you the years I wish I could change. I offer them back to you, trusting you still have something beautiful to write. Let that prayer settle deep, not as wishful thinking, but as a return to truth. God doesn't rush healing, but He never delays purpose either. You are not behind. You're right on time for what He is about to do. If something in you just softened, keep going. You're not remembering loss. You're making room for redemption. The next moments will invite you into a hope that's not based on your timeline, but God's mercy. Stay. The restoration has already begun. Before this part fades, ask yourself this. What if the very part of your story you've grieved the longest is the one God is planning to use most powerfully? In the next section, we'll talk about how rest isn't just recovery. It's the soil where resurrection begins. Are you ready to believe that something new can still rise? It's not just that you're tired. It's that you don't remember what it feels like not to be tired. You were never meant to run on empty. And tonight you don't have to keep pushing. In the next few moments, you'll be invited into something deeper than sleep, into a rest that reaches your soul, and a God who restores more than your body. You've held it together for so long. You've smiled when you didn't feel like it. You've kept showing up, even when your soul felt like it was somewhere else entirely. You answer texts. You get through the day. You do the things. But when the night comes, the ache arrives. That dull, invisible ache that lives somewhere between your chest and your thoughts. It's the kind of tired that coffee doesn't fix. The kind of tired that vacations can't cure. The kind of tired that feels spiritual. And maybe it is, because you weren't created to live like this. You were made to be held, not just productive, not just responsible, not just strong. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. This isn't poetic language. It's a personal invitation. Jesus isn't asking you to keep going. He's asking you to come closer. A 2023 study from the Mayo Clinic found that chronic emotional fatigue, specifically when caused by internalizing others' needs, can lead to cognitive shutdown symptoms that mimic depression and burnout. The antidote, not productivity, not distraction, but safe, intentional rest, particularly in spaces perceived as emotionally nurturing. That's not a luxury. That's biology. And it's biblical too. God doesn't just permit rest. He models it. Even, He rested on the seventh day. Not because He needed to, but because you would. So tonight you don't have to keep going. You don't have to figure anything out. You don't have to explain your tiredness. You only need to stop and be held. Right now, wherever you are, let your body relax. No effort, no perfection, just stillness. Whisper this to yourself, God, I don't have strength left. But I don't need to because you're not asking me to be strong tonight. Feel that's surrender. That's what healing begins with. Now imagine God gently placing a blanket over your soul, not to smother you, but to comfort you. You are safe here, safe to let go, safe to fall apart, safe to not know what comes next. This is rest, not just for your eyes, but for your heart. If this is the first time you felt safe enough to truly pause, don't rush away. The final section is waiting, and it might just be the moment your soul has longed for. Stay with me. One more whisper of peace is coming before we step into the last part. Ask yourself this: what if this kind of stillness is not the end of something, but the beginning of being made new? In the final section, we'll return to the core of it all, the God who has been holding you in every quiet moment, every broken breath, every whisper of hope. Are you ready to meet him there? There's a kind of pain that even sleep can't quiet, but there's also a peace that no fear can cancel. Tonight, you're not just falling asleep. You're falling into the arms of a God who has carried you through every moment, seen and unseen. This final chapter will seal everything you've heard, like a soft light left on for your soul, reminding you you are not alone. Maybe this isn't the first night you've needed this, and maybe it won't be the last. But tonight, something shifted. You came in with thoughts too loud to ignore. You stayed because your soul was asking for more than noise. And now, as the silence deepens around you, something inside begins to settle, not in defeat, but in surrender. You've carried pain. You've questioned your worth. You've waited in silence. You've mourned lost time. You've whispered prayers without knowing if anyone heard. But now, let all that come to rest. The Lord your God is with you. He will quiet you with his love. Zephaniah 3:17. That's what this moment is, not an ending, a quieting. You're not falling apart. You're being made whole, gently, slowly, completely. A 2022 meta-study from Johns Hopkins University found that spiritual nighttime reflection reduces anxiety and strengthens emotional resilience by activating long-term memory processing and slowing down overstimulated cognition. In simpler terms, returning to peace before sleep isn't just poetic, it's powerful. It's how the soul recovers. It's how the body heals. It's how the mind remembers that you are safe, even in the dark. So for this final breath, let's not reach for more. Let's just rest in what already is. Wherever you are, let the muscles in your body go soft. Let your eyelids become heavy. Let your spirit unclench. Now say just once or in your heart, if you're too tired, God, thank you for holding me tonight. Let me fall asleep in the truth that I am already loved. And if this space, this voice, this stillness has helped even a little, know this: you can return to it anytime, any night, as many times as you need. This is more than sound. It's a sanctuary. And if your heart is asking for more moments like this, you're invited to stay. This space was made for you. This channel was created to be a shelter, a place you can return to not just for sleep, but for soul-deep comfort. If this brought you peace, if this gave you breath, if this felt like the whisper your heart was waiting for, you're already home here. Whenever you're ready, you can hit subscribe, not as a commitment, as a quiet yes to more healing, more rest, more reminders that you matter. So let this be the night you stopped striving, the night you remembered you're not forgotten, the night your soul believed, maybe for the first time in a while, that peace is possible. And if this felt like what your soul has needed, just wait until you hear the next whisper. There's more healing ahead, more stillness, more space made just for you. For now, sleep, not just deeply, but safely. You are held. You are known. You are loved. Always.